I'm going to take Chess and Sarah through a basic lumbo pelvic stability sequence based on some APPI Pilates repertoire. These guys are both quite familiar with Pilates and understand their 5 key elements. So we're just going to get straight into some exercises. Okay, Chess and Sarah, we're going to start with our one leg stretch, level 1. So making sure that you're in your correct alignment, you're in your neutral lumbo-pelvic position, and you've got your center engaged. So we're going to slide one foot away from your bottom, stretching that leg out along the floor, and then you're going to draw that back in towards you, and then switch to the other side. That's the way. So keeping the foot in contact with the floor, because we are here focusing on a closed chain movement that's challenging the lumbo-pelvic stability in a low-load environment. So it's a lovely beginner exercise to progress people onto after they've got an understanding of the 5 key elements and they can engage their center. So the idea is we're incorporating some breathing here, and we've got a nice relaxed abdominal wall, again with just that submaximal activation of transversus co-activating the pelvic floor. So we can breathe out as the leg extends and breathe in for it to come back. And really the main aim here is to be able to dissociate the movement of the hip from the spine. So we're just looking at the back and pelvic region staying really still. Okay, so it's a nice beginner movement. We can progress this now into an open chain exercise. So we're going to come into our scissors level 1. Okay, so in an open chain exercise, we've got a little bit more load that the back has to control. Okay, so still focusing on the center, guys. On the outward breath, I'm going to get you to float your right leg into tabletop position. Fantastic. Good. And then replace it back onto the ground. And then we're going to float back up. You can hold for an inward breath and then replace the leg on the outward breath. As people progress, we can vary the breathing, but this is a nice option to start with for a beginner breath pattern. So we're breathing out during the hardest part of the movement, breathing in to hold that position, and breathing out to lower the leg again. So what we're looking for is the ability for your client to keep the pelvis neutral. So you might notice just a slight amount of rotation as the leg comes up. So I would focus on perhaps if Francesca's lifting her left leg, I'd want her to focus on the right side of the pelvis, staying quite grounded, but ensuring she maintains her neutral lumbar spine there. That's it. Good. If you're still noticing that there's some rotation there, even after you've given the cues, you might want to cue someone to slide their foot in towards their bottom before you float it up. That just effectively shortens the lever and makes it a little bit easier to control. That's the way. And slide this leg in and then float the leg. And you can do the same on the hard part of the movement going down. We can bend the knee and then replace the foot. That's it. And that should feel a little bit easier. And then as they improve their control, then you can go back to the version of just picking the leg up off the floor and coming down. That's the way. So that's our open chain movement, our scissors level 1. Okay, so we're going to now incorporate some upper back movement. So we're still keeping that lower body nice and still, but we're going to incorporate now the superficial muscles as well as those deep muscles that we've been focusing on in those first 2 movements. So Sarah and Jess, I'm going to get you to put your hands behind your head. That's it. And I just want you to float your elbows up into your peripheral vision. We're going to move on to an abdominal preparation now. So checking that you're still in your neutral pelvis, just bring your knees in a little bit more, your feet in a bit more chest, that's the way. Keeping that nice neutral spine, center engaged. We're going to think about drawing the rib cage towards the hips as you just float your upper body off the floor. Fantastic. And then gently lower back down. That's the way. And again, breathing out. Think about drawing the ribs towards the hips. That's it. Keeping your lower tummy lovely and flat and lowering down. That's the way. So checking that your lumbar spine stays nice and still. Okay, if you're facilitating your client to do this, you can just simply place your hand under their lower back and make sure that you're not feeling any increased pressure on your hand as they come up into that abdo prep. It should just be a slight amount of thoracic flexion, okay, and the lumbar spine stays neutral. That's it. The other thing you might want to watch for is any doming through the abdominal wall, which might indicate that there's an imbalance between the rectus abdominis and those deeper muscles that we're really trying to focus on here. That's it. And finally, guys, just make sure that your head stays lovely and relaxed in your hands. You might want to imagine perhaps that you've got a right peach between your chin and your chest, and you're just gently holding onto that peach. Okay, the work is really coming through the abdominals and not through those muscles at the front of your neck.